Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at your first preliminary fall forecast for the year of 2020. This is one of my favorite uploads to post every single year. I like to post at least 2 or 3 of them every year so that you are caught up on what you should expect this fall. I'm going to be using meteorological fall, which is from September 1st to the last day of November, November 30th, and that is what I count as fall. So that is the time frame that all of this is going through. I'm going to be going over my temperature anomaly forecast, my precipitation anomaly forecast, as well as my overall forecast at the end of the video. And if you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments. I respond to all of the comments that I get, and I will try to leave some sort of explanation if you have any questions on why I, for example, put your region in below average temperatures or above average temperatures. I'll definitely respond to your comment, and usually I can respond within a day or two of you posting them. So definitely, if you have any questions, leave them down below. But let's get right into your forecasts here. So here is your temperature anomaly forecast. This is I'm going to start off here with your above average region. Here's your slightly above average region in this yellow shade over parts of the Northeast, the Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, and much of the western United States. I am expecting above average temperatures, slightly above average temperatures. And here is your second shade, and this is actually your moderately above average region. And this is where I'm expecting a little bit warmer temperatures than in that slightly above average region. That's for parts of the southern Oregon region, parts of southwestern Idaho, and then also much of Nevada, all of California, and much of parts of Arizona, and a little bit of New Mexico there, as well as parts of the Great Lakes and the upper or the northern parts of the Northeast there, northern New England as well. I am expecting moderately above average temperatures for that. So you guys might be a little bit disappointed, especially if you are snow and cold lovers. I really think usually when you have a warmer fall, that's really conducive of a very cold and snowy winter. And I'm actually going to be posting my winter forecast within the next coming days on July 15th, and then I'll also update those frequently as I get more information and we get more data. But just because you're in a warm fall, usually that actually means the opposite for the winter. So usually if you're in a warmer fall, you'll actually have a colder winter, and vice versa. If you're in a colder fall, you'll probably have a little bit of a warmer winter. So I'll be going over that forecast within the next coming days as I release my winter forecast. So make sure you do have your notifications turned on. Here's your slightly below average region, and this is for parts of the south central and southeastern United States. And I think this is pretty much going to reverse for parts of the winter. But right now, I do think the cold temperatures will be locked into parts of the southeastern United States. It's not going to be too cold. So it's not going to be too incredibly cold. It's not going to be something that will be too noticeable, but you will have a couple of cold shots here and there. Now, here is your moderately below average temperatures, and this is going to be for parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and into parts of Georgia there. That's where I think it's going to be a little bit more profound, and you're actually going to notice it a little bit more, that it will be below average. So potentially some earlier fall foliage peaks. So I am actually probably going to make my fall foliage forecast, my frost forecast, and my first snowfall forecast probably as we get into August and into September. That's when I'll probably release those. But definitely I have a lot of forecasts coming up, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And I also have my monthly forecast for all these fall months, the winter months, and even the spring months as well. So make sure you are subscribed and you have your notifications turned on. Here is your precipitation outlook, and I have 3 regions of above average precipitation. This is your slightly above average region. We have one for parts of the Pacific Northwest. We have another one for the north central United States, and for much of the eastern seaboard, as well as parts of the Gulf states have a slightly above average region. Now, for the East Coast and the Gulf states, that's mainly because you could have some hurricanes that track up there. Now, officially, hurricane season doesn't end until November, so all the way through the fall, you still have the potential of seeing some hurricanes, and if those do impact land, you will probably see some above average rainfall out of those, and we're already seeing the early signs of some nor'easter potential, so we already have a very good environment for that, so that's something that we have to watch out for. The Pacific Northwest, especially in a La Nina pattern, usually gets dumped with a lot of rainfall, as well as the north central United States. That's why I put you guys in a slightly above average region. Here's your second area of above average, your moderately above average area, and that's for parts of the coastal Carolinas, parts of southern Georgia, all of Florida, parts of coastal Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana there. That's where I'm expecting a little bit more precipitation just because you'll probably have a couple of landfalling hurricanes or tropical storms that could dump quite a bit of rainfall and push your average or push your precipitation totals a little bit higher. Now, here's your below average regions, and we have one of those for parts of the Southwest and another one for the Great Lake region. So here is your moderately above average region, and this is for parts of California, Nevada, Arizona, and parts of New Mexico there, where you have a probably a drier than normal atmosphere, and that is gonna in turn lead to some drier than normal conditions. So here is your overall forecast, and we're gonna go from west to east, and we're gonna kind of decipher what all of these different colors mean. So we're gonna start off here in the Pacific Northwest, and this is the area where I think it is gonna be wetter than normal. You saw that on the precipitation forecast, and that is mainly due to the La Nina pattern. If you guys want me to, I'll actually make a forecast explaining why I made my forecast the way I did. I'll probably call it something like a fall discussion or something like that. So that will probably be on my channel, especially if you guys let me know in the comments that you guys do want that. I'll definitely start working on that. Now, wetter than normal conditions for the Pacific Northwest, and pretty much the opposite for parts of the Southwest. I'm looking at warmer than normal conditions for areas kind of surrounding that brownish region, all the way from Texas to California, and looping across parts of the southern Rockies. Here's your drier than normal condition region. That's for parts of California, Nevada, Arizona, and parts of New Mexico and Texas there. Here is your mountain snow region. I think mountain snow will probably actually be a little bit higher, even though you have above average conditions. On those mountain tops, it really doesn't matter how above average those temperatures are. It's probably not going to get above 32 degrees. So if you have those above average precipitation, which you are going to see mainly from parts of the Pacific Northwest and the north central United States, you could definitely have some more mountain snow than normal. So that is something I want to say for parts of the Rockies. Now, here's where I'm expecting more precipitation. This is really the only thing notable about this region for the fall. Over the Dakotas, Montana, and Wyoming, I think it is going to be a little bit wetter than normal, potentially a little bit snowier than normal as we start to get into October and November there, where you start to get some snow into parts of the north central United States. Here is your average region. This is where it's going to be pretty much average over much of the fall. Average temperatures, average precipitation, really nothing too notable over this region. Here's your flip-flop condition area. This is squashed in between the warmer than normal conditions and the colder than normal conditions, as well as the drier than normal conditions and the wetter than normal conditions. So it's really all over the place, and that's really probably the hardest area to forecast for this winter or this fall, and that's why I actually put you guys in a flip-flop area. Now, here's the kind of in this orange shade. That's where I'm putting you guys in a milder than normal condition region. That's going to be over parts of the Great Lakes and parts of the interior Northeast there, where you could have, again, milder than normal conditions, warmer than normal conditions over that region. Now, I'm expecting average lake effect, maybe even a little bit above average, just even though you have above average temperatures. Still, it'll still be probably below 32 degrees for most of the time, especially as you get into late November. That's when you could potentially see those lake effect machines start to really get going, and even warmer than normal conditions can actually have the opposite effect on those lakes in the Great Lakes. That can actually warm up the temperatures over the lakes, and that can actually help more lake effect generate. So that is something very interesting, that it kind of has an opposite effect. Now, here's where I'm expecting the most severe weather, kind of centered over Kentucky and Tennessee there, where you're squashed in between the warmer than normal conditions and the colder than normal conditions. That's where you usually see your heart of the severe weather. Now, I'm not saying that there's going to be a lot of severe weather, but if you are going to see severe weather, it's probably going to be within that region, and also for parts in that yellow region over the flip-flop region, where you're squashed in between warmer and colder than normal conditions. here's your cooler than normal condition region, and that is going to be over parts of the southeast, and also to the south of there, we are going to be seeing above average hurricanes just because of how this hurricane season is going currently. When I'm recording this, it does look like that's going to sustain itself, especially for us, parts of September and October. That's when I really think you're going to get going within the hurricane season, and that's when I think you're going to really start to see a lot of potential hurricanes or tropical storms or tropical cyclones form in the Atlantic, and most likely a couple of them will impact the Gulf states or the southeast coast in one way or another. Here's where I'm expecting early snow, and that's going to be over parts of West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. That is in the Smoky Mountains region, so that's in some higher elevation regions, as well as parts in northern upstate New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and northern Maine. Typically, you'll see a couple of snow events as you get into October, and then you start to get into November. It starts to get a little bit colder. You can start to see a couple of snow events form for that region. And finally, this is the final area. This is where I'm expecting nor'easters to develop over parts of the pretty much from the mid-Atlantic all the way up to the coastal areas of Maine. That's where I think you could see some nor'easters. We've already seen a couple already this summer season as of when I'm recording this, and that's going to probably translate a little bit more into as we get into the fall season. So potentially, probably not in the two major nor'easters that are going to bring snow or anything like that, but I think it's mainly going to be those wind impacts, those rain impacts that are going to really be felt from these nor'easters. So no big blizzards, especially in the fall. That's not very typical, but maybe that translates into some bigger storms over the winter time period, and I'll talk about that in my winter forecast, which is going to come soon. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I will be making a couple more of these. I would ask you guys to subscribe, leave a like, comment down below if you have any questions, or turn on notifications so that you don't actually miss any of my new uploads or updates. I do post pretty much daily. Sometimes I skip a day or here in there because there really isn't too much to talk about. But for the most part, I'm fairly consistent with my uploads, and I won't leave you guys without an upload for more than about 2 or 3 days, or maybe at the most in a very quiet period, 4 days. So again, that is going to wrap it up, and I'll see you guys in the next upload. Goodbye.